You've been on a bad streak.
Not great.
Predicting repeat and three-peat winners.
That makes 2 of us.
Don't write him off. Don't write him off.
He's in bad.
Finishing
Newgarden's in bad shape.
32nd.
Yeah, I mean he's starting dead last.
I've seen a lot happen in my day.
Right.
That's true.
Especially
You are
in
from
Indy.
Indianapolis.
Yes, it's true. Wearing your Pacers colors today.
That's right.
You
Recognize. Recognize.
First things first today. We are starting with the Thunder moving on into Game 7. That wasn't really close. Jalen Williams led a second quarter barrage, scoring 17 of OKC's 29 to pull away from a literal hamstrung Nuggets team. What did OKC prove to you? You've been a non-believer, let's say.
Well, they still, I mean, this isn't the goal.
No.
The goal is to win it
It's
all.
halfway there.
They're getting there. They proved they're a true team. And they, after every, game, when it's Shea or Chet or whoever's being interviewed on the court, what happens? The whole team essentially comes around. Yeah. And people, Nick just rolled his eyes. People think, that's corny,
my eyes.
whatever.
I didn't roll my eyes.
But they're like, and people have described them as, they're like a college team because they are young and, they got that we're all in this together. Yeah. And I think they proved that over the course of this series. Now, obviously, Shea is the man and he leads the way. But after Shea, it's like different guys take turns being kind of that star of the quarter or of the day or whatever it might be. And yesterday, look, Alex Caruso, that dude is a tremendous defender. And the adjustment, credit Mark Daigneault, of moving him to guard Jokic was huge. And if you're a big man, you think, well, Jokic has half a foot on him and 100 pounds. Why didn't he just dominate him? A few things happen. One, a lower guy who's strong can get up under you, and that just bothers you a little bit, makes it a little tougher. And then, he was always slapping at the ball, fronting him, slapping at the ball where it is, because Jokic, the ball's down lower. And it also, Nick, forced Jokic, and I think this was a mistake by Denver. Not that they would have won the game anyway, but they really were putting Jokic down low thinking, hey, he's got the guard on him, post him up. Usually Jokic is always getting it at the free throw line or the elbow or something like that.
Deal.
Yeah, so that shifted things up for them and threw him off. And then Jalen Williams, we had questioned him on Friday.
Yes.
We said, look, can this dude be a number 2? Mm-hmm. Then he goes out and credit him. He was not having a good series, gets 17 points in the game-turning second quarter.
Yep.
And obviously Shea carried him home. And Daigneault this is what I've been saying, like, they are going through the growing pains that I feel a team must experience to win the championship right before our eyes. That was a tough series win, and credit them.
I don't know if you agree with me. I think this, for their chances of winning the championship, was better than a sweep. Because I do think there's going to they are going where they
had they swept them,
and then when they do face, I think the fact that they faced real adversity, this game, it ended up being a laugher. It was 42-41.
And they were down big.
No, they were down
early.
It was very early. They were down big. But midway through the second quarter, it's a one-point game. And then the barrage happens. And OKC.
Did you ever really feel it was close?
Yes. I did because I thought because the way I looked at it was Jamal Murray hasn't gotten going, Joker hadn't gotten going. It's a one-point game, like Christian Brown kept them attached. I think they got an emotional boost.
They made their run, to get back in the game. Denver's got a run.
Yeah, exactly, and then it was clear not. They remind me of the '90s Bulls in this regard, where they can go on a 15-2 run based purely on their defense.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if the second three-peat Bulls, when you have Pippen and Rodman and Jordan, and the way they could just swarm you as you pass half court, and it's like you never get a shot up, and they've scored 8 points. The Thunder have been doing that all year long, and to see them do that, Denver was really impressive. I thought the most important part, you alluded to it, was Jalen Williams, that he struggled and then had that moment because they are going to need him. We have talked that Chet one day should be their second best player. He's not. And he's not going to be. He is very consistently good. You know what I mean? Like
rarely,
he hasn't had a 25-point playoff game. Every game this series, he was between 9 and 19, I think. He's going to get you your 9 or 10 rebounds, basically your 10 to 15 points.
Right.
And that's valuable. But Jalen Williams, after struggling that much, doing what he did was really impressive. And the Caruso thing, I think, is noteworthy because I just want to give credit where it's due. There's one other piece. The other benefit of having the smaller guy guard the bigger guy is it's just human nature. The refs let him get away with a little bit.
Yes.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, he can be more physical and foul a little more because the refs are just, it's just how it works.
Right.
And so where I give Caruso massive credit, and it's why I get so disappointed with basically any NBA player that's not from Eastern Europe that doesn't have a good body, because there's no reason not to. Caruso, go look at him when he was 26 years old, winning a championship with the Lakers. He looks nothing like this version of Alex Caruso. He was good in his role. He has added what I think is 20, maybe 25 pounds of muscle that has changed how they can deploy him and use him, and that has unlocked another thing for him. And that obviously is not new this series. You've seen this in the last few years. And that was a heady trade by them, trading Josh Giddey. He's the one major addition.
Giddey was pretty good.
Giddey was good. And then last point on them, Wilds, is they are ready and Shea is ready. Like Shea, now we have enough of a sample, I feel like, that we can say Shea is still going to get the calls he gets. Shea is still going to produce the way he produces in the postseason as the regular season. He doesn't up it to another level, but he doesn't need to. He's 30 a game each of the last two postseasons on good efficiency and 9 free throw attempts a game. So, yeah, I mean, I think they've been the favorites the whole time, according to Vegas, and I think it's deservedly so.
Dusty, can you pull up the Game 7 graphic? This is kind of goes against the idea that Game 7, the best two words in all sports. Recently, these games haven't been super close.
And it's been a bunch of road winners. This one wasn't. But
yeah, 12 games in the last 3 years. It's basically been 20-point blowouts. There's been 10 10-point wins and 6 20-point wins. To me, this is why I know we want to have a little bit of a Thunder congratulations party. But the reason why I was like, did he really think it was close? If Michael Porter Jr. can't lift his arm up, and Aaron Gordon, God bless him, was like, it was a heroic effort, but very quickly you could see that.
I don't know how he played.
It was amazing.
Well, can I give a guess on how he
But
played?
I never thought that was going to
just shot him up. And
no, I don't think he has a grade 2 hamstring. I think he has a grade. I know Shams told us he did. I think he had a grade 1 hamstring.
A reasonable explanation.
Because everyone is like, it's medically impossible that he's playing, as if we've seen the MRI. Like, he clearly hurt his hamstring, and he's clearly injured.
Well, that makes sense. You're right, because when I heard it was grade 2, I was like,
grade 2, you're out a month. And so, he doesn't, we saw OG Anunoby in Game 7 last year come in, made a couple shots, he couldn't move. Like, Aaron Gordon is incredibly tough, and I give him massive credit for what he did. I also am going to go ahead and say that maybe it was closer to a grade 1 than a grade 2.
No, that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
How in the world do you go out there and play that? He played essentially a full game.
Yes. And I thought he was fine. And
I'm going to say it's great. I'm not going to allow you to do that. You guys just be like, no, I disagree with the doctor.
I just don't know how it's done.
Because he's tough.
Hold on. Did the doctor? I'm not disagreeing with the doctor.
It's not the toughness. It's that it would be so easy to just re-aggravate that.
Again, Wilds, I'm not disagreeing with the doctor. I just don't with the reporting.
Shams.
Nick
versus Shams.
No. I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with Shams. I don't think Shams reviewed the MRI either. I think Shams is reporting what he was told.
Right, he was told that.
I'm just saying my rationale on how that happened is maybe it was a grade 1.
Wow.
Which is still, by the way, Steph got knocked out for the full round with a grade 1.
Right.
It's really impressive that he played, and a testament to him and his toughness. I just don't think he suffered an injury that's like, well, normally he'd be out 6 weeks, but he's going to be out 30 hours. I just don't
To your point, though, once you saw, even if you knew he was playing, he wasn't going to be able to be himself. I'm not taking anything away from OKC.
It tilted in their favor.
There was no excuse for them not to win that game.
Yes.
The way Denver was banged
Meanwhile,
up.
Denver headed in the wrong direction, from the finals to the Western Conference Finals to a second-round exit. Jokic was asked if he thought this team could win a championship. I like that.
Practical.
What's next for Denver?
Let's not hypothesize. Look, and this is not going to be easy. And they may not be able to do it. Most likely, they won't be able to do it. But no, they need to get Jokic, Nick, a legitimate second star, period. And Jamal Murray has been a star at times, right? Like, he was obviously a star when they made that run to the championship. But because of injuries and just his inconsistency in general, you can't count on him fully, okay? And this is the thing. Somebody texts me, wow, Jokic going out in the second round for the second straight year, 3-time MVP, you know, like an insult to him. And I'm like, look, the big men don't win multiple championships without a second star. Some don't win any. And Kareem won 6. 5 of them were with Magic, 1 was with Oscar. Shaq won 4, 3 with Kobe, 1 with Dwayne Wade. Olajuwon did win 1 without a second star, but his second one was with Drexler. And Jokic has won his 1. Wilt won 1 with Hal Greer, who is a Hall of Famer, and then with Jerry West. And then Bill Russell always had Cousy or Sam Jones or John Havlicek. So my point is, Moses Malone even won it with Dr. J. David Robinson won it with Duncan.
Yeah, and Duncan had all the guys.
Yeah, the Ginobili and Parker. And I'm not, look, I would try to package Jamal Murray, and I really like Murray, but again, inconsistent. I would try to package him in a deal. And I don't know who, that's the thing. I don't know who's out there.
I don't think anyone as good as Jamal Murray.
That's the problem.
That may be fair. I'm just saying, and a lot of teams, this is an age where teams seem to have that one superstar, and then you just got a bunch of people around.
So listen, I think they might be stuck. And I think that Nuggets fans who operate their fandom the way I do mine, you have games that years later you dream about. You're a nightmare about, or whatever it is. Like fork in the road moments, or it's like, where you have that one, sometimes it's a couple possessions back. And I think that they're going to obviously, Game 7 last year against Minnesota is an all-time, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
You know what, that. And then I think they might, Games 4 and 5 of this series. Game 4, an opportunity to go up 3-1, leading in the fourth quarter, and Joker has an uncharacteristic, pretty bad game. I think it was 7 of 22 from the field. And then Game 5, Joker's amazing. You're leading big in the second half, and Lou Dort hits 3 consecutive three-pointers or 3 3-point, and all of a sudden is the window slammed shut. And so I don't think Joker lost his best player alive title. I thought he was good in this series. He wasn't great, and yesterday he wasn't great, but nobody was great. But I just don't think Shea's better than him. I know Shea beat him. I don't think Shea's better than him. And Shea might win the championship. What I do know is, for Joker historically, he is now only chasing legends. And the only way to catch legends is to do legendary things. They needed a legendary, not necessarily series, but, sequence of games from Joker to get past this team, beat a 68-win team, and they didn't get it. And so I think Joker right now, before we show the graphic, is kind of capped at so he is, for me, in a tier outside of that top 12 with Dr. J and Moses, and for more contemporary, he's higher than, but in the same tier as Giannis, Durant, those group of guys. The 12 guys ahead of him, and we can argue about the order, but I think we'd all agree on who the 12 are. We can show it to you. This is how many conference finals and NBA finals games they play. So Akeem is, I guess, the outlier at only 39. Steph is still playing, obviously, but 66 is the second lowest. Then everyone else is in the 70s, 80s, or well over 100. Joker's at 14. For context, Giannis is at 15. Though, the only way he can crack that group is either a bunch of super deep runs, but really what he needs, because the other thing this group has is all of them have at least 2, and if not 3. And so I think we're probably going to look back and say that, from 2019 to 2025, they should have won more than one. But they, in 19, They lost a tough Game 7. They wouldn't have won anyway. The 20's the bubble. Jamal Murray gets hurt. They win their title last year.
They were never very close. I mean, one time, but until they won it.
Correct. Yeah. And so I think that I think it's a weird spot for Jokic because he has so much of his prime left. But I don't think there's anything he can do short of consistent deep playoff runs or championship to move up any higher. I think he's I think he's reached the ceiling a one-ring player can reach. And, I mean, even though I'm not a count the rings guy, it's not that they're totally irrelevant. And when you look at it, those other guys lived in May and June in the postseason, and he just hasn't. And I'm not putting it on him, but I just think that's the reality.
Drew, before we go, there's a lot of questions about the roster, whether if they try to, offload MPJ's contract, what Russ is going to do. But the biggest one, do you want to keep the coach?
Yes. I do think he did a good job. He's in a tough situation. He's been groomed for this. His name was out there already this offseason. Had they kept Michael Malone, his name would have been out there again. And so, yeah, I think he's a good coach. And obviously he comes from good lineage with his dad, Hall of Famer.
Everybody supported him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets that contract. Yeah, finally, some very smart people thought the Celtics still had a puncher's chance. Not true. This game was interesting for about 5 minutes before Chalamet, Busta Rhymes, and Knicks season ticket holder Steve Sharippa started a 40-minute celebration.
Don't forget Edie Falco.
He's always there. Also, Cat was unbelievable. Even though he didn't have a huge statistical game, I thought this was one of Cat's best games. Were you surprised by the Game 6 blowout?
Yes, I was surprised by the blowout, and I'd like to make a public service announcement right now. We're based in New York City to New York Cityans. Folks, leave Windhorst alone. Be nice to Wendy, and if there's someone you need to yell at Wilds. Don't throw anything at him, but if you have to get your heckling out.
When did he get a game thrown at him?
Yeah, he did.
Wendy did?
Yes, he did. When he was walking away, yes, he did.
Oh, what was it?
It just nothing big, just like a
that's not nice at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was
but
the
again,
Pacers
Wendy didn't do anything wrong. This guy basically called you frauds all series and never believed in you. How many
guys have to be hurt?
Give me a break.
How many?
One guy was hurt for the Celtics.
Well, Porzingis.
What?
Porzingis did what you said he might do in Game 6.
11
Wilds going into that.
He scored 4 points.
Hold on.
He averaged 20 in the year.
Wilds. Yeah, that was part of Brew my analysis as to why they were going to lose Game 6. And you made a graphic about how Porzingis might play really well in Game 6. There was no graphic?
There wasn't a graphic. I talked about it, but we did not make a graphic.
Okay, I think that's actually incorrect, but regardless.
We make a graphic, John?
Yes, we saw it. You showed us Porzingis in round 1 versus this.
He had a good game.
And so, listen, I think it was a sad way for the champs to go out. Because even those of us that correctly thought the Knicks would win did not think the Celtics were going to roll over and give up the way they did.
I don't know if they gave up.
I don't think they gave up. I was surprised it was a blowout as well.
I mean, they pulled their starters in the third quarter.
But by that point, it was,
well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Keep fighting.
But I was surprised it was around. And I agree with you. Cat, even though he shot 8 for 20, his numbers weren't huge. He was over 20 points, I think 12 or 13 rebounds. But I just like the 20 shots.
Yeah.
Like, I want Cat being aggressive, and that's what I liked about him. I also like the balance. They have 4 players, 20 points or more. That's when I think they're at their best. Now, Brunson can have more, 29 or whatever, but when they are getting contributions offensively from all 4 of their scorers, that's when they're at their best, and that's what they did. And look, for Boston, live and die by the 3. And this series, they died by. And you have to give the Knicks some credit because Boston shot poorly most of the series.
Yeah.
So that's not just a couple games.
They shot well in 2 games, and those are the 2 games they won.
Aggravated them a little bit. I'm not saying it was OKC level defense, but they aggravated them enough to get them missing shots. And that's what happened in Game 6. They continued to hoist the threes and miss.
Do you think that was a fork in the road moment for live and die by the threes?
No, I don't.
You think it's just like Missoula can go into next year? I mean, next year is going to be
No, I just think the league as a whole, until they change the rules, is going to continue on. My guess is the amount of threes, unless the NBA changes the rules, the amount of threes the Celtics shot this year per game will be 5th most in 3 years. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out